Hello everyone, this is Redesigned for Resilience, transforming your business into a business inspired by nature. Okay, you just got done with your emulate step. Either you just got done with it or you got done with it with the previous day if you're spreading this out. And I hope that was a wildly, I mean that literally and figuratively, wildly fantastic experience. I'm guessing that you surprised yourself with what you came up with, and then that's exactly what we're hoping that you'll do. So now that you've got your design sketched out, it's time to evaluate it. So in the Biomimicry design spiral, we'll go through it again real quick so you can catch up on where we are. You first identified the functions that you want your design to perform, and again, this is all about functions, okay? We talk about form follows functions. So we identified the functions, we translated those from business terms into biological terms, which itself is a revealing process, and it also allows you to discover and ask how nature, organisms in nature, and systems and processes in nature accomplish the functions that you want your design to perform. Once you discovered all these different biological strategies, you abstracted them to find out exactly how are these strategies performed, how do they work, and you translated those strategies back into business terminology. So in the abstract phase, you have this long list of strategies for accomplishing your design goal in business language. In the emulate step, you put those things together, you recombine them, you distilled them, new patterns and principles may have emerged for you, and the result was that you came up with a design solution that emulates nature's strategies for accomplishing the functions you want your business design to perform. So there you are. That was a whole lot of work, and now you're going to evaluate what you came up with. And as you know from reading this before, in the evaluate stage, you compare your design first against your business objectives and then against nature's principles. So as business people, you're going to compare whatever you came up with against your business objectives, your goals, your vision, your mission, whatever it is that's appropriate for the design that you're coming up with. And again, this is where you bring your business skills, savvy, experience, and tools to the table. Okay, so you're on your own on that one, and I know you'll do a good job of that. The one really interesting thing here, we've talked about each of these steps being necessary to feed into the next step in the spiral, but also that each one has standalone value. One of the things you may find in the evaluate stage as you're evaluating your design against your business objectives is that perhaps your business objectives themselves need to change. And again, that's all about becoming a business inspired by nature, and that is why we have the spiral. So right now you're going through the very center. That's why I'm taking your first laps around the spiral. When you get to the evaluate stage, you may find, wow, I want to do something completely different, or whole objectives have changed. That bursts open your the world of possibilities for you. Throwing off conventional assumptions and practices and into an entirely new world of a business that's resilient and adaptable. Okay, so that's your thing, and I'll let you go do that. You're also going to evaluate against nature's principles. And as you know, a business inspired by nature is both grounded by and driven by nature's principles. And so you're going to ask yourself, does your design optimize, and does it optimize, instead of maximize or minimize, across dynamic systems? Is your design resilient and adaptive? Can it recover from disturbance? Is it itself causing disturbance? Is it adaptive? So can it change as conditions change, either inside your business or in the context in which your business operates? Does your design support life? So does it support life in terms of living things on Earth? And is it supporting the lives of your employees, of your colleagues, and of the partners with whom you work? Is your design systems-based? Does it leverage systems and contribute to systems? And is it values-based? Does your design reflect and express and forward your core vision and values. In addition to that, we're going to pause. So that's evaluating against life's principles. And we're also going to pause before we move on. And we'll do this more in the next video about taking the next lap. We're going to reflect on what have we learned and how we can improve upon the design. But we'll do that in the next video on taking your next lap. All right, nature's principles. You're probably quite familiar with these by now, but if not, since many of you are brand new to this, you can go back and review them. You can rewatch the video, go through the nature's principles document to get a sense of what each of these actually mean, how they're interconnected and interdependent. And when you're in the evaluate stage and you actually start working with nature's principles, you start to question, why is it that being resilient is so important? Why is it that being values-based is so important? The answers will start to emerge from you, and they'll take on deeper meaning for you. So again, it's a standalone value that it forces you to dive deeper into asking the whys of nature's principles. All right, so what might this look like? What does evaluate look like? And we'll go continue with our vacation policy example. So we came up with, if you recall, this vacation policy that was not a vacation policy, some really surprising results. So when they evaluated this against nature's principles, now I'm not going to go through all of these in detail because they're in your examples in your Biomimicry Design Spiral document, but the idea is they went through each of life's principles and looked at how it did reflect that principle, or whether it did, and then also some questions that may have come up that you want to address in your next lap around. For example, being resilient. And again, if you remember, being resilient is the ability to recover from disturbance and change. And of course, you want to be, we're redesigning for resilience, but of course, it's one of many life's principles that we're redesigning for. So they decided that the way they had their policy, it builds employees' personal resilience, or their ability to recover from disturbance. And in doing so, they build the resilience of their whole workforce. So that's interesting. That's kind of a literal example of building resilience. They also decided that their new design embeds diversity and flexibility, and this will reduce unexpected time off, because unexpected time off is a disturbance that is hard to recover from, and so that makes them less resilient. So you can see how, again, these tools of like turning things inside out, so you can either be more resilient or be less non-resilient. Okay, does that make sense? Also, when they're looking at resilience, is my design resilient? They wondered, can the company recover from the change in policy? So we mentioned this last time just a bit, that this change in policy itself is a disturbance. It's a disturbance coming from within the company. And they're wondering, can we recover from our own change in policy? So that's something that this is helping them to see, and then in doing so, become more resilient. So optimizing, they thought the time off is optimized for the individual as well as across the team. So it's not about minimizing or maximizing, forcing people to take time off when they don't want it simply because it's a convenient time, or not allowing them to take off time when they really need it because it doesn't work out. So they're trying to optimize for the individual as well as for across the team, which is the system they were considering. Adaptable. It allows wild adaptability, but within limits, okay? And the question that came up here, can we allow the level of adaptability that may be desired? And that's what they're going to need to explore next. So systems-based. And again, as you go through the evaluate stage, it helps you say, oh, that's what we mean by being adaptable or being systems-based. I hope you'll discover that in this next step you work on. Okay, so this recognizes that each employee is part of several systems outside of work. So they're part of their community, they're part of their family, they're part of their friend social network, and all those things are systems they're actively part of, and that tugs on them at work, right? Because we talked about dynamic tension a while ago. That can be a really good thing, but the tension doesn't exist, and this policy recognizes that. also recognizes an employee as part of several systems at work or within work. And that's where, again, tied back to optimizing across the team. So recognizing all of these systems in the first place is really helpful. And they said, yeah, this policy is systems based. But there was a little warning for them. Are we missing other systems, internal and external, that will be impacted and again would cause challenges? And I won't go through them all, but they evaluate it based on being values-based and also about being life-supporting. And so that's what you're going to do. You're going to come up with a list like that. You're going to go through each of life's principles and come up with how you feel your design does and does not reflect each of nature's principles. And you're also going to review it against your own business goals. Okay, it's your turn. Go ahead and get out your document, look at those pages related to evaluate, and to facilitate this step and to learn yet another activity for co-creativity, you're going to go through what we call evolution or extinction. And this is really the process that we go through and evaluate. We take all these fantastic ideas, some of which may not be appropriate at the time, and some of which we want to maybe dive in deeper. So we're going to decide, are you going to evolve your idea or let it go extinct? Okay, and I'll let you go through and read that. It's in your From Pine Cones to Productivity booklet. Okay? All right, so when you get done with the evaluate step, I'm going to let you go and give it a go. And when you're done with your evaluate step, the last step in the spiral is actually not a step, but it's this last arrow here. So this is when we're going to learn how we prep for the next lap around the design spiral. Okay, I hope you really enjoy this step and that all kinds of new things emerge for you. And we'll see you in the next video.